Why is there something rather than nothing? This is a question you may have spent a little bit of time thinking about. It's a question that has been on the minds of thinkers ever since Aristotle. In the Middle Ages, Jewish and Muslim and Christian thinkers have picked it up and did a little bit of work on it. And then more recently, William Lane Craig has gone a little further with it. Well, what is the Kalam cosmological argument? The Kalam goes something like this. 1. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. 2. The universe began to exist. 3. The universe has a cause of its existence. 4. If the universe has a cause of its existence, then that cause is God. Therefore, 5. God exists. All right, let's think through these premises. Premise 1, everything that begins to exist has a cause. This is fairly self-evident, and so I don't think we need to spend a lot of time here. Causal laws tend to tell us that there's a cause and effect, so we tend to understand that if something is caused, then it began to exist. The second premise, the universe began to exist. Let's think about this for just a moment together. We really only have two options when we're thinking about this. Either the universe has always existed, or it began to exist. So what's the evidence that we can look at that's going to show us one way or the other? What tips the balance, so to speak, in the favor of one versus the other? Well, as we think through science is very helpful, and we get the second law of thermodynamics. When we get to the second law of thermodynamics, it states that usable energy is going from a state of order to disorder. It is the usable energy in the universe is slowly decreasing. It is being used up. So if the amount of energy in the universe is slowly being used up, it seems to lead us to a conclusion that the universe began. Why? Because if it started an infinite number of steps ago, then the energy would have already been used up. We would be out of energy by now. And we're not. We currently do have energy, and we're enjoying that energy. So it seems to tell us that the amount of energy in the universe, as it continues to decrease, it shows us that there is a beginning, a point in time when, say for example, that the charge of the batteries was full and has slowly gone out. It's somewhat like batteries in a device. So if you have an electronic device, you put batteries in there, they're fully charged when you first throw them in there and you're enjoying whatever device that is. Over time, as you're using that device, the batteries slowly lose their charge to a point where you take the batteries out, throw them away, put new batteries in. Well, the universe is somewhat similar, other than it doesn't have those new batteries to put in. We're just working off of the amount of energy that we started with. Where do we start with? At the beginning of the universe. A third piece of evidence that we have that the universe began to exist is what astrophysicists call radiation afterglow. You see, scientists reason that if an event like the Big Bang did occur, there would be some type of a heat signature that was left behind. Well, in 1965, Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson actually found this radiation afterglow. Well, what is a radiation afterglow? Radiation afterglow is something that we experience with our television sets. You see, when we turn off our television sets, there's this glow that is left behind, this heat, this remnant heat that is there that slowly dissipates and goes down. Well, this is something that was found, and it was such a huge discovery that in 1978, these guys actually won a Nobel Prize for this. Now, considering the second law of thermodynamics, redshift, and the radiation afterglow, we have three pieces of strong evidence that show us that the universe began to exist. And whatever begins to exist has a cause. Now the question becomes, is this cause caused by someone or no one? Astrophysicist Robert Jastrow, who actually took over for Edwin Hubble, had this to say, and let me quote this. Astronomers now find they have painted themselves into a corner because they have proven by their own methods that the world began abruptly in an act of creation to which you can trace the seeds of every star, every planet, every living thing in this cosmos and on the earth. And they have found that all this happened as a product of forces they cannot hope to discover. You see, Jastrow recognizes something very important here. He recognizes that as well equipped as science is to understand things that are measurable and things that are repeatable, there are certain things that science simply is not equipped to handle. Namely, what are the forces that created the cosmos and other things that would be non-physical entities? You see, science is a great tool that we have, but there are limits to what science is able to do. We have briefly thought through some of the reasons why we believe that the universe began to exist. But what about the cause of the beginning of the universe? Well, again, we have two options. One, it was either a random chance event that happened that was caused by no one. On the other hand, the other option is that it was actually caused by a thinking being. Well, as we think about this, the cause of it, we have to realize that all space and all time and all matter began to exist. So we're not able to use the physical laws to argue for this random chance happening. Well, the physical laws just didn't exist yet. The physical laws came into being with the rest of the cosmos. So it seems that the most reasonable answer to the cause of the universe is that there was some type of a thinking, all-powerful being that caused the universe to exist. And this thinking, all-powerful being is spaceless, timeless, and immaterial, which is actually a very good starting point for what we consider God.